listening to The Inner Gamer.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. Today we have our discussion topic on the differences and the improvements on Destiny 1 to Destiny 2. So the last couple of weeks we've been talking about Destiny, recapping like what we feel about it as a sequel, but now we're going to go back and look at the original, which obviously you've heard has many flaws, and look at how it's improved and or changed with this new Destiny 2. So let's talk about the story a little bit. Let's jump into the story bit. So Destiny 1,
No story.
no story.
Not so much.
You had Grimoire cards.
It's like it
but
was
there
there,
wasn't much.
but they didn't really care to show you.
Yeah. You knew the darkness. You knew the Traveler. You knew that there was bad guys everywhere.
I honestly couldn't tell you what we were doing or why we were doing it.
No. I still don't know.
Yeah, the Black Garden story from Destiny 1, like from the main campaign, the Black Garden was obviously a very weak story. We can attribute that to whatever the fuck we want to say it was. The writers quitting halfway through,
Right.
The new team coming in and not exactly knowing what it was that they were supposed to be doing.
Oh, them too, huh?
Whatever the case is you want to say for Destiny 1 story, it lacked. They just wanted to get through it so we could get to the raid as well as get to the rest of the DLCs that were going to really punch up the story, which
Right.
it eventually did. Like, we got story eventually.
It was nice. It was good.
But then you also have the portions of the story from Destiny 1 that were very frustrating. Grimoire cards.
Yeah.
You had to literally leave the game and go to a website to read lore and read story and narrative about the game you're playing. Destiny 2 really utilizes one of the best mechanics, I think, that can be used to help tell a story, and that is having your ghost scan areas, which they did with the last the Taken King DLC,
Right.
where you could scan certain areas or certain objects. They've really punched that that little element up in Destiny 2, and I think that is a wonderful way to have exploratory narrative and story in your game.
Environmental storytelling.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it back to our environmental storytelling.
It feels
segment.
immersive.
Yeah, you as the player feel much more involved when you're having your ghost scan this thing and have them telling you, have the ghost telling you what he's finding out about that thing.
Yeah.
That he's scanning.
Yeah, I like that, mixing the world and the story together. Like once you have the story bits that you have to do. You go through, you have to unlock this planet, you do some missions there, and you go through that actual story process. But then once you get into the dead zone and you can start going through these, like the adventures are such a welcome addition for me over the fetch and grab side quests that they used to have.
Yeah.
Like they have that with this, but now you actually get story bits where it's like, oh, you have this knight that is doing this ritual and you don't know what the ritual is. You got to chase them down and figure out what kind of crazy ritual they're trying to do and understand that part to better understand how this particular race, goes about their ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting, and it makes me want to do those things. Like I actually want to check those things off my list. And then like finding these lost sectors, that are scattered throughout the world. Like that's a cool addition where you actually get rewarded for exploration. Some of them are discovered through adventures, but you can just like travel around and be like, oh, here, there's this area. You found it. And then you get loot at the end of it, which is also really nice. So you can take out some bad guys and get some loot and learn a little bit more about the space that they have. And
there's so much to actually do. I mean, the adventures, there's even a mission that starts explaining the story behind the raid, and I think that's awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what it is, but you're introduced to Emperor Callus, and
I find that raid part so interesting because the art style of that raid is so different than the rest of the world that they built. Like,
and it's huge.
Yeah, I can't wait to jump into it. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So let's talk about some progression a little bit. So for the progression system, I think that's for me, one of the biggest changes in this game because, this game is all about loot and upgrading your armor and getting new things and all that. And there was a point where, you collect, like light wasn't affected necessarily by armor, Like, right? Destiny 1, like, originally,
Yeah,
you got light by playing the game,
Yeah.
but it
correct.
wasn't done by armor.
No.
But then they, like, completely switched the system around. We're like, okay, now you get armor and weapons, and then that upgrades it.
But the issue was you didn't often get what you needed.
Right.
It was pretty difficult.
It was
a
yeah.
huge grind.
very difficult.
It was not good.
Now I feel like it's just you're constantly swapping stuff out
Oh, yeah.
and getting new gear and new things that you can upgrade and advance. But there's so many systems that they've changed. Like, first of all, like the token system. Every
Yeah.
planet, every
yeah.
person you go to has a token system,
Destiny
and
2
that's how you
loves the
build your
tokens.
reputation.
Loves the tokens.
And
the
I was-
tokens and the whatever you can quote unquote farm on that whatever element it is.
Oh yeah, yeah. Me and my friends just call them the flowers. 'Cause they're just generic collectibles some of the time. I think in this game you've got data lattice and dusklight.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
alkane dust. I think those are 3 of them.
Fancy words.
Yeah, yeah. For spin metal, you
Right.
know.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember Destiny 1. How did you increase your reputation with these different people? I can't remember now.
You had
Like, what was that process?
you had the shader that you could wear,
Mhm,
and then you
mhm.
had
That was
the
for- yeah, for
then
factions
you
and
had
stuff.
then you had the actual faction banner that you had.
right.
What about
We
like
don't even-
Crucible?
we
Like
don't even-
Crucible
yeah, we
was
don't
just
even
by
have-
playing,
We don't
right?
even have factions yet. It's coming on Tuesday.
Right.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But we had the Cryptarch.
Yeah.
Right.
You'd go collect a bunch of engrams, then you'd go to the Cryptarch, and it would slowly level him up, and then he'd give you something. And most of the time, that would be just garbage.
Just hot garbage.
Right.
hot garbage.
Hot garbage.
Yeah. This one, there's none of that. The Cryptarch doesn't even have a reputation.
Nope.
There's Vanguard reputation, which you do strikes and you complete challenges while just doing random stuff on worlds. There's dailies, and you get tokens, and that increases the reputation. And then there's a Banshee 44, the gunsmith. Every time you dismantle a weapon, you get weapon parts, and you turn in those weapon parts to Banshee 44, and he gives you an engram.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's
as well
something
as
I like about
gun
that, where you
telemetry,
used to have
yeah.
to use the weapon parts to buy certain weapons,
Mhm.
and they've got rid of that. Now you just use the weapon parts for one mass. Like, let's upgrade your reputation with this guy, and at the end you get a legendary engram, which comes with a bunch of stuff. Like, you
Yeah,
get-
yeah.
that's
Sometimes you
cool.
get some really nice things, but I think the best thing about Banshee 44 is that he sells weapon mods and
Right.
armor mods, which honestly, like, you can only really get once you're 280.
Yeah.
So the progression in this game is very consistent up until you're about 260, 265. And that's where it begins to slow down because your engrams start dropping at 260. So you
Yeah.
have to start burning exotics or getting lucky and finding things in the raid or during the Nightfall or from milestones, which milestones are very, very common. They're weekly events that you do with your characters.
Right.
And whenever you turn 280, you can start putting these purple legendary mods into armor and weapons, and that adds +5 damage or armor, increasing your light level. And it's a constant. You're constantly chasing that dragon still, but it feels more. It feels better. It feels a
Yeah.
lot better.
It
this
does.
time
It
around.
doesn't feel as monotonous. It also feels more rewarding when you do have it happen.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
much more rewarding than the first time, because when it would happen in Destiny 1, when you would finally get something that helped push your light level up, or you finally got the weapon that you were looking for, you felt you felt kind of spiteful about finally getting it, that you were like, fucking
Yeah.
finally, stupid
Yeah.
game not giving me this stupid shit.
Yeah.
And while Destiny 2, like, you feel accomplished and rewarded, the rewards feel like rewards. And so it's very satisfying now.
Up to a point.
Up to a point. I
I'm-
will concede that.
I'm at that part where I'm light level 304, and all I need are gauntlets and a cloak, and
It's just not happening.
man,
It's just not happening.
Oh man,
It's just
Yeah,
not happening.
I started my 3rd hunter character so that I can do the Nightfall again, and gonna try to play the hard Nightfall. And the Nightfalls this time around, I think that's definitely something we should talk about. The strikes are great. The strikes don't have any challenging thing, but the Nightfall this time around, it used to be in Destiny 1 you'd go in and there would be like your melees do more damage.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
more damage when jumping in the air. Oh,
Yeah.
and by the way, arc damage does a lot more damage.
Yeah,
So
you got-
everything arc.
You got your flavors.
Yeah,
What's
but this
the
time-
weekly flavor?
Yeah, this time around, there's a lot of different stuff. First off, I think the most important thing to note is that the Nightfall is on a timer, and they have ways of keeping the timer going by adding seconds. The first week, it was every time you kill an enemy, you get like somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 7 seconds back, and the other bonus I like to call them bonuses, even though they're just huge kicks in the nuts. Was something called Prism, where the flavor of the month was the flavor of the like 15 seconds. Every 15 seconds, it's called Prism. It just rotates through the elements. So you have to have like make sure your class, for instance, is a solar class, and then you have your secondary weapon, which again, I'm backtracking, but they changed. Instead of having primaries with elements on them, primaries are just now strictly kinetic weapons, and your
Right.
secondary weapons are energy weapons and then power weapons. That took me way longer than it should have to realize, by the way. I was like light level 280, and I was like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah, I was
But-
I was struggling with that too. I
Yeah.
was like, why do I have auto rifles in 2 different categories here? And I was
Man,
like, oh
I just
wait,
can't-
there's special
I
stuff
can't
here.
wait to get a primary with electric, man. It's gonna be
Yeah.
like a Zalo supercell. I'm gonna be so hard. but yeah, the Nightfall Prism is like every 15 seconds or so, it'll be like oh, it's arc damage right now. So start going in with arc, and then oh, it's solar damage, and it was challenging, but it was fun because the first week they kind of had an issue to where it would say solar burn and then it would just go away. But they updated it to where like it would say solar burn and then it would stay on the screen instead of like everybody having to be like, okay, solar. What was the burn? What's the burn? It's solar. Is it arc yet? I got my super ready. No, it's solar. Oh God.
What have I done?
Yeah. Like, oh God, you just activated your Palpatine. Nobody needs that right now. It's solar burn. But that's different. Like the Nightfall this week is there are these anomalies that are floating in the air, and you shoot them, and that adds an extra 30 seconds to the timer. And I'd say this Nightfall is real bullshit, but that's just the way of it, man. There's an exotic weapon called the Rat King, and you have to finish with 5 minutes left on the clock, and it's real difficult on this one.
Is that the hand cannon?
It's a sidearm actually.
sidearm, yeah.
A primary sidearm, which was interesting at first. It's really great. You know, the more people in your group that have the Rat King, the more powerful it becomes. It stacks up to 6 times, and every time you shoot an enemy, every time you kill an enemy and then reload, you go invisible. So it's really great for like the raid and stuff, to where you need to stand in a specific spot and not get shot to fuck.
Which probably happens all the time.
Oh boy,
Dude, it's a Nightfall.
I know.
It's just
Yeah.
it's a constant kick in the dick.
constant. Yeah.
I feel like I've already experienced that, and I haven't even played a Nightfall yet. So I don't know what to expect when I jump into
It's-
that.
You'll have fun, but you're also gonna have to stay on your toes. You know, I mean, it's Destiny, man.
Yeah,
Destiny, man. Yeah,
Destiny is
that's so cool.
something that, like, is there? I mean, what game do you feel like compares to
Halo?
this? Well, yeah,
I mean-
but like from an overall like perspective of
It's like Diablo
game.
shooter,
yeah.
I guess.
I mean, just because there aren't many. I mean, this is very MMO in
Yeah.
every sense of the word,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
for the fact that it's a shooter
Yeah,
that you're playing.
and it's a fucking good shooter too.
It
Yeah.
is
It's a very
yeah,
good shooter.
I mean, they've taken this one even. I
Point
mean,
like a
I didn't
toyer.
think it could get any better, but I feel like it's even gotten better.
Yeah.
With this version, which is really cool.
Although the melee and the Crucible sometimes feels like bullshit. Like I go to swipe at some guy and then I'm swiping at air, and then he's behind me and he's like, "Ha
Yeah, no, I'll
know?
agree. Like I was always so happy with the Warlock melee in Crucible, and I was always like, you can be 10 yards away and I will still hit you. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to be up in his nose hairs for me to like make this work, and it's just not good.
I feel like it may be my internet, but like I'll go to swipe at someone and the animation will start, and then he will have already punched me, and I'm dead. And I'm like,
Fuck him.
what in the dick was that?
What in the dick?
But I'm getting off topic.
That concludes our topic this week. If there's something that you want to hear us talk about, please let us know at hello@theinnergamer.net. Also, don't forget to head over to theinnergamer.net to catch our podcast that we release once a week on Tuesday called The Inner Gamer, as well as our blog articles that come out, and we have a few new projects coming down the pipeline that you definitely don't want to miss. So make sure you go over to our website, follow us there. If you like this video, please like and subscribe us on our channel to keep up with all the latest news, reviews, opinions, and discussions on video games right here on The Inner Gamer. Bye-bye. Bye.